prevented, if our schools taught respect for everyone regardless of sexual orientation, if we had nonviolence training in our schools, if we encouraged counselors to talk to troubled kids like this defendant who came from an abused home. Let's talk about the issues. What concerns you? There's a kid at school coming on to me, he's gay, I'm uncomfortable. If all of that had been in place, this could have been prevented.
Dawn, was there anything like that for these kids?
Oh no. No, there wasn't.
Were there clouds forming? Could you see this coming?
I personally didn't see this coming. Again, a lot of the other teachers did. I learned a lot after the fact in the trial that the administration actually did as well. And people dropped the ball continuously. And a lot of the problem too that I learned is both parents on both sides did not teach tolerance. Larry's parents were not teaching tolerance to Larry either, hence why he was in foster care at that time.
Well, tell me what you mean by this.
Again, tolerance. It means accepting everybody for their differences.
Hold on a second. This kid that was killed was in foster care?
Yes, he was.
Because his family rejected him because of his sexual orientation?
I believe so.
Wow.
Right.
And I believe that.
I did not hear that part of this story. That is stunningly sad. And what a tragic life this kid had.
A lot of people haven't focused on that point. A lot of people have just been quiet. That's how a lot of this has stayed underneath everything. Nobody's
so again, you know, listen, we're in the shadow of the Sandusky fiasco out at Penn State. That's about abuse. Magically, this story is about abuse too. You, Lisa, say that Brandon comes from an abusive home, or something was going on that was problematic. Now we're hearing that not only that Larry, the kid that was killed, home was not only abusive, it was aggressively abandoning. Just incredible.
Yes,
absolutely.
because of his sexual orientation. And so, you know, I constantly am writing and tweeting about this, about how we have to teach children to respect gays, lesbians, transgender, bisexual. And people say, oh, you know, we all talk about that all the time. We're sick of talking about it. No, this is the case of what happens when we don't
because
talk
people
about
die. People's lives are in the balance.
A little boy was shot in the computer lab in middle school.
Speaking of Larry's family, here is what his father had to say.
We're kind of, you know, it's a little bit bittersweet. I don't think that 21 years is really justice for cold-blooded murder. But on the other hand, we've been going through this for 4 years, and, you know, at least there's some closure coming up.
All right, no trial, no second trial, as we're hearing for Dawn. It's a great relief. Now, is that the father that we're saying kicked his kid out of the home, sent him to foster care?
It was more than just kicking his kid.
Now, Dawn, this is all new information. What are you saying here? What happened?
I was not able to testify to this. When I tried to, the DA promptly stopped me, and because Larry was a minor, all these records are sealed. And
what happened? What did this guy do?
I was told, when I went to the administration as to why Larry was in foster care, that his parents had physically abused him.
So he was removed from the home because of physical abuse. So he wasn't like kicked out of the home in some sort of peculiar way. There was physical abuse in the home.
And Child Protective Services came and took him out of the home.
And what you're thinking is, you're alleging this, we don't know this for a fact, that he was physically abused because of his sexual orientation.
I was told specifically there was violence orientated towards Larry that was because he was the way he was.
Let me tell you another piece about any of you that want to defend physical abuse of any kind, that includes disciplining kids, is that when kids go through those kinds of experiences, they will bring violent people into their lives. They are drawn into those circumstances. I'm not suggesting that Larry was in any way responsible for what happened to him, but it's uncanny how kids that have abuse, whether it's sexual abuse or physical abuse, women that are sexually abused become strippers and porn stars. You see how they're drawn to these things that were terrorizing in their childhood. Same thing with physical abuse. Drawn into relationships and around people that will perpetrate upon them. Lisa, you agree?
Yes, and to add to that, that LGBT kids are the highest rates of hate crimes and violence incidents against them.
Again, let's differentiate people that become the object of hate crimes versus people that get around it.
Right, but so this was the perfect storm, of course, of we've got one kid who's abused, right, and we've got a kid who's gay at school, not being protected, the kids aren't being educated, and we have a kid who can take a loaded gun, presumably his parents' loaded gun, and bring it to school. You know, where's the accountability for the parents here?
Where is that? Now, the state originally proposed a longer sentence, 25 years. I guess that's still actually what he's going to serve. And by the way, Lisa, how do we know he's not going to walk in? I mean, I don't trust the prison system anymore. We hear about people going in one door and out the other. Now, allegedly violent offenders aren't being dealt with so easily.
That does sometimes happen. You know, California, it's pretty tough to get parole, is all I can say. But parole is important because it gives them motivation to have good behavior behind bars. And this is a young man. Let's hope that he changes in prison. He's got 21 years to do that now.
He's how old now? 17, 18?
Yeah.
17, 18, he's 18 now, so he's going to be in the adult.
18 in January.
He'll be in the adult population.
Yeah.
All right, the prosecutor, though, seems satisfied with the outcome. Watch.
This gives us a full 25 years in custody. We protected the community, and it's also takes into account what we learned from the first jury.
What did they learn from that first jury? What is he talking about?
I think they learned exactly what I've been trying to say all along. This was a complicated situation. The adults, administration, everybody needed to be held responsible and culpable for the situations with both boys.
The jury had some sympathy for the defendant.
Well, Dawn had sympathy for Brandon, too. I mean, last time she was in here. Well, tell us more about that, how you feel about this now in retrospect.
All my students, I think it's a teacher thing. When they're in your class, you feel responsible for them. And I'd only had Brandon 2 weeks. I never even had the opportunity to help him at that point. But here I was, I didn't know his background. If I would have went to his father to report misbehavior, I was actually sending him to a worse situation than if I was protecting him. So when I walked in there and I saw him, my heart just melted. I wanted to just grab him and take him home because,
Brandon,
yes.
After he'd committed the crime.
After he committed the crime, and I've been able to communicate with the students who have been able to communicate with Brandon throughout this whole thing. And trust me, Brandon is remorseful. He feels awful for the pain that he's caused so many people.
He was a child. I have to emphasize that. As much as I hate what he did, he was a child.
You guys,
he wasn't helped by the adults around him.
This is what I will say about our legal system. It tries to make things black and white, good and bad. And it's always, when it talks about human beings, it's much messier. And Dawn, I didn't fully appreciate how messy it was last time you were in here. I got that you saw it as messy, but thanks for coming in today and sort of showing us, really, more clearly, how unclear the situation was. And Lisa, as always, I'm going to keep you around. The allegations of abuse, of course, we've been discussing tonight are just that. They're allegations. We have no independent confirmation of what Dawn is telling us is, in fact,